This is Sunset News, coming to you every weekday between 7:30 and 8 o'clock. We bring you news and stories from the community, economic indicators, weather forecast, and sports. I am Glenna Rashipura. In the news tonight, the Windhoek Regional Court today dismissed a bail application by Namibia Economic Freedom Fighters Commissar Michael Amushelelo and affirmative repositioning activist Dibulukeni Nauyoma. The pair were arrested over allegations they threatened to close and burn down Chinatown. Magistrate Masule Kwezi ruled that the state has proven on a balance of probability that the applicants are not suitable candidates for bail. Kwesi says individual freedom is a fundamental right which should not suspend unless it prejudices the hands of justice, adding the principle of presumption of innocence is a consideration. However, the charges against the applicants are of serious nature, and considering the two have pending cases of which they are out on bail, the court is thus of the view that the accused may commit further crimes. Lawyers representing the two men have indicated that they will appeal the matter in the High Court. In our next story, one person died instantly when he crashed into a front-load tractor close to Vlotskasbakan in the early morning hours on Monday. According to the Erongo Police crime report, the driver of an Opel Corsa, Patrick Keeb, passed the road signboards and bumped into the tractor that was parked beside the road. Keeb died instantly while 4 passengers sustained serious injuries and were taken to Swakopmund State Hospital for treatment. Now, the police is investigating a case of culpable homicide as well as reckless or negligent driving. According to the executive director of the International Energy Agency, Fatih Birol, the world is in the middle of its first truly global energy crisis. He still insists that the answer does not lie in additional fossil fuels over the long term. Instead, efforts should be made to hasten the energy transition, according to Birol. Speaking during a crisis panel discussion on the opening morning of Davos 2022, he insisted that the world needs to make energy investments that look beyond the immediate term and are viable for the future.
The world does not need to choose between an energy crisis and the climate crisis. We can solve both of them with the right investment. I understand the current priorities today to fix the energy security problem. It's a big problem, especially in the developing, energy important developing countries. But we shouldn't forget that one of the reasons why we have such high prices and the security in the major developing countries is the heat wave, which is a result of the climate change. It is only the beginning. So no to large-scale fossil fuel investment, especially coal coming in big time in some countries, but also others. And yes, for the quick responses to energy security challenges altogether, as many colleagues said, but without forgetting the climate risk.
The Namibia Public Workers Union and the Namibia National Teachers Union have reached a deadlock in their negotiations with government regarding wage increases and improvement of conditions of service for more than 100,000 civil servants and thousands of teachers. This afternoon, NAMPO General Secretary Petrus Nevongo and
to give them feedback on the progress made in the conciliation and for members to pronounce themselves on this matter, which indeed they did. The members and the public, and our members, NAPU, NATU members and the public, are now informing that the conciliation resumed on the 23rd of May 2020 at the hour 14:30, and with the aim, of course, to find an amicable solution. Unfortunately, this dispute
Amuthenu and Frank Jose make up the remainder of the Namibian trio. Amuthenu is from Windhoek, while Jose is reunited with her owner, Ervine Simata, vice president of the mining company Swakop Uranium at Huizup Uranium Mine. Exciting news indeed. Moving on, in community news tonight, we'll look at how the San community is living in Kurenkuru. More on this after the break. take a look.
A marginalised community in the Kavango West that received corrugated iron houses from government back in 2020 continues to turn to the bushes when nature calls because the state has failed to provide them with toilet facilities. The 33 corrugated houses, constructed to the tune of close to $1 million, were handed over to the community by Gender Equality Minister Doreen Sioka.
In our story of the day, we look at the Africa Day celebrations happening tomorrow.
Go far with Paratus. Go further with Paratus Fiber. Paratus, offering high-speed, reliable fiber connectivity, starting from only 599 Namibian dollars per month. Unlimit your lifestyle and visit na.paratus.africa for more information.
The 25th of May 2022, Namibians, together with the rest of Africa, will celebrate Africa Day. It was formerly known as African Freedom Day and African Liberation Day, and it is the annual commemoration of the foundation of the Organization of African Unity that was established on the 25th of May back in 1963. It is celebrated in various countries on the African continent as well as around the world. The organization was transformed into the African Union on July the 9th back in 2002, but the holiday continues to be celebrated on the 25th of May. According to the African Union, this year's theme for Africa Day is strengthening resilience in nutrition and food security on the African continent. As part of the long-term vision set out in Agenda 2063, the Assembly of Heads of State and Government on the African Union has adopted common African aspirations, drawing on the potential of its population, in particular a human capital, well-nourished citizen, and in good health, with a particular emphasis on women, adolescents, and children. Human capital is key for development as it leads to improved lives for individuals. In 2019, fertility rates have declined from 6 to 4 children per woman. However, compared to the rest of the world, the malnutrition remains high in the continent, and undernutrition is particularly an underlying cause for almost half of child deaths. The rationale for nutrition to be the theme for this year's Africa Day celebrations, the African Union said the global health crisis of COVID-19 has greatly exposed the economic vulnerability of African countries, as well as the weaknesses of the health and food systems. With COVID-19 pandemic, much of human capital gains in many economies over the past decade is at the risk of being eroded. The price to pay for keeping the virus at bay has been, in many African countries, at the expense of gains made in reducing malnutrition. Specifically, the prevalence of wasting will also increase due to higher risks of acute food insecurity. Urgent action is needed to preserve the gains made, particularly among the poor and vulnerable. Investing in human capital is now more important than ever through designing the needed interventions, especially targeting the most vulnerable. Therefore, there is a need for continued efforts, including advocacy, especially in the regions and communities where the risks are more acute, strengthening social protection system, and safeguarding access to food and nutrition for the most vulnerable groups, especially young children, pregnant and breastfeeding women, older people, and other at-risk groups. This theme will also be a great opportunity to advocate for adequate financing, implementation capacity, and coordination to enhance the quality of collaboration possible for effective implementation.
A continent worthy of a celebration indeed. In economic news after the break, we look at the effect of the slowdown of the Chinese economy. And as always, we also look at the economic indicators. Do stay with us.
Have you received a loan from NSFAF? NSFAF loan is the same as any other loan. It must be paid and settled. NSFAF has a set of guidelines on how you can repay your loan and become debt-free. Therefore, it is important that you, a former beneficiary and a responsible Namibian, show your patriotism by helping pay back your loan and thus helping NSFAF become a revolving fund for the benefit of future potential students. By failing to pay back your NSFAF loan, you risk being blacklisted, or having a court order against you. So arrange with the fund to pay back your loan today. For more information on how you can repay your loan, visit our website at www.nasfaf.na or visit our Facebook page or Twitter. Do the right thing and hashtag payback the money.
Thank you for staying with Sunset News. Let's take a look at our economic news. The slowdown of economic activities in China is expected to affect the domestic market. According to Simon Storm, from an export perspective, China is Namibia's second largest trading partner on average, where most commodities are up and gold trades at $1,865.40 per fine ounce US dollars. Brent crude oil trades at $113.69 US dollars per barrel. After the break, we'll be taking a look at our international news story. President Joe Biden told key Asian allies the war has now become a global issue, underscoring the importance of defending international order, he said. Japanese PM Fumio Kishida also echoed his comments, saying that a similar invasion should not happen in Asia. Mr. Biden is meeting the leaders of Japan, Australia, and India in Tokyo in his first visit to Asia as president. The four countries, known collectively as Quad, are discussing security and economic concerns, including China's growing influence in the region and differences over the Russian invasion. In his opening remarks at Tuesday's summit, Mr. Biden said their meeting was about democracies versus autocracies, and we have to make sure that we deliver. The Ukraine war, he said, is going to affect all parts of the world as Russia's blockade of Ukraine grain exports aggravates a global.
Have you received a loan from NSFAF? NSFAF loan is the same as any other loan. It must be paid and settled. NSFAF has a set of guidelines on how you can repay your loan and become debt-free. Therefore, it is important that you, a former beneficiary and a responsible Namibian, show your patriotism by helping pay back your loan and thus helping NSFAF become a revolving fund for the benefit of future potential students. By failing to pay back your NSFAF loan, you risk being blacklisted or having a court order against you. So arrange with the fund to pay back your loan today. For more information,
2 degrees. The central coast varies between 13 and 23 degrees. The coldest place in the south will be Rehoboth at 7 degrees and the hottest will be Mariental at 30 degrees. Do stay tuned for some exciting news from the world of cricket for Namibia right after the break. T20 series win over Zimbabwe, a full test nation since 1992. Coach Peter de Bruyn's team had already established themselves by keeping the 5-match series at 2-all before today's sensational bowling performance to beat Zimbabwe by a whooping 33 runs. Namibia looked in trouble earlier when they could only score 127 for 8 in their allotted 20 overs. Craig Williams, with 48 runs of 39 balls, made a quick start along with his opening partner Michael van Lingen, who added 12 of 7 balls. However, the rest of the batting order were dismissed cheaply until Ruben Truppelman scored 19 of 14 balls to push them past the 120 mark. The Namibian bowling and fielding performance never eased up the pressure on Zimbabwe, who were restricted to being bowled out for 95 runs. Every Namibian bowler took at least 1 wicket, while Jan Vriendelijk and Gerhard Erasmus each took 2 wickets. In our next story, Velvich's assistant coach, Crisander Botha, says they will announce the team to face the Blue Bulls from South Africa in preparation for the 2023 World Cup qualifiers on today, following a national trial match on Saturday at the Hage Geingob Stadium. Moving on, Brave Warriors coach Bobby Samaria on Monday announced a squad of 35 players who have officially gone into camp ahead of the 2023 African Cup of Nations qualifying matches against Burundi, Cameroon and Kenya next month. Namibian swimmer Zander Skinner is embarking on a new adventure. He will attend the Arizona State University, where he will complete his master's degree in business and administration. Zander is also joining a professional swim team in preparation for Commonwealth Games and the 2024 Summer Olympic Games. Do stay tuned for the highlights that follows after the break. This is Sunset News, and if you have just joined us, here are your highlights. The Windhoek Regional to the Executive Director of the International Energy Agency, Fatih Birol, the world is in the middle of its first truly global energy crisis without us.